God's a love that's divine, yours and it's mine like the sun.
So now we get to celebrate with a dynamic person who experiences and expresses fatherly love in all that he does. And this is Reverend Gary Canier, our new associate minister. Please welcome him.
Look what I planned. You never know what's going to come. Happy Father's Day. We're here to honor those earthly fathers who've provided protection and blessing and love and wisdom and guidance. And they come in all forms, because not only are they those fathers in our lives, they're also those moms, because there's many moms that take that father role. And they can be teachers, they can be mentors, they can be coaches, they can be brothers, they can be sisters, and they can be friends. So today's the day we honor that, and I hope you can take some time today to honor your father, those fathers, or those people who've blessed you in your life. I've certainly been blessed by Blaine and Owen as I fractured my left big toe packing for the trip to San Antonio. And I've been asked, well, how did you do it? And I said, well, I'll explain it when I give my talk. I was going to Texas, you know. And in Texas, you got to wear some jeans. And I tried on a pair of jeans. Didn't like them. I took them off. And I did this all standing. And while I was taking the jeans off, I stumbled. And when I got the jeans off, my toe hurt real bad. So I spent the past week, well, actually that first week of put no pressure on the foot. But Thursday I started being able to stand. I can't walk, but I can stand. Now at convention, which was really a wonderful place, I got to bring up all kinds of stories, like I was surfing and there was a child in the water and trouble, and when I got off the surfboard flew up in the air, came down on my toe and fractured, but the child's alive and well. Anyway, we won't go into all those stories. That was one of the good ones. Now, I don't know if it's true for you, but it's certainly true for me, that my perception of my dad, David Canier, has changed over time. It kind of looks like this. At 4 years of age, my daddy can do anything. At 12 years of age, Dad can't possibly know anything about this. He's too old to remember his childhood. At 21, oh, that man is so out of date. He's so not cool. And at 60, I'd give anything if Dad were here so I could talk it over with him. My dad is right here now. I can remember those we were an outdoors family. We went on trips all the time, every weekend. Those long rides. Are we there yet? And I'd be having all those feelings of just, I want to be there now. And Dad would say, it's just around the next bend. And that seems to be a good motto for my life. It's just around the next bend. So let's look at some wisdom. I'm going to park it here. This will be a little easier. I might need them later. This is Reverend Donald Curtis. He was a very accomplished Broadway and film actor. You might remember him. He also was a religious science minister and a unity minister, and he founded Unity of Dallas. And he wrote many books, and he gives us some great wisdom on this whole idea of Father. When we say Father in practical Christianity, that's us, we are not thinking in terms of God being male in a physical sense. We are thinking of the overall benevolent beingness that knows only protect, provide, and to give. This is that Father that's always within. Now, metaphysically, here in Unity, we know the mother of God as being love. And the Father of God is wisdom. And you need to have both. Because love can do all kinds of things, but when it's tempered with wisdom, it's solid. It's a foundation we can live, move, and have our being, and it's always with us. Now, if we turn to Scripture, in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus says, "It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." Now, one thing that's true about Jesus is he never spoke Father. He spoke Aramaic, and the word he used was Abba, which translated is closer to Papa or Daddy. See, Jesus always had an intimate connection with God, with the Father. Now, when he was speaking to Abba with his whole presence of being, he wasn't calling Joseph to come over, his dad. So we have our earthly fathers, and we have the eternal Father within us, as well as the eternal Mother. And we know that it is the Father's good pleasure to give us this kingdom, this inheritance of love, of wisdom, of guidance, of protection. Now, I went to that old resource in sacred text, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and I looked up sage. And it says, a profoundly wise man, especially one who features in ancient history or wisdom. Now, sages don't have to be male. There's many women sages. I know this because I spent all of last year in the immersion program with Martha Creek. She's a great teacher, one of great wisdom in unity, and she imparted to me challenge, wisdom, grace, understanding. But this is Father's Day, so let's look at some of these men. So in the upper corner there, right up there, is Moses. We know him as the father of Judaic, Islam, and Christian faiths. And of course, Jesus, the Buddha, the compassionate Buddha, our own co-founder, Charles Fillmore, just under Moses. And just under Moses is Einstein, who we love to call the father of science. Of course, he didn't invent science, but he certainly propelled us much closer. And the Dalai Lama, father of a religion of compassion, won the Nobel Peace Prize. And in the bottom corner, there's Nelson Mandela, father of a great nation that lives, moves, and expresses itself with quite wonder and productivity. And right there in the middle is Gandhi, a good father image when we need to look at what do we need to move through. And if we're going to move through something, if we're going to oppose something against us, perhaps we can look at options that are nonviolent, that are holding to the truth no matter what. And we know the truth. And when we center on our truth, we're centering on the Father within. Now, at the Unity Convention, we got exposed to some wonderful social media. And this is a video presented by Unity Worldwide Ministries.
God is spirit, and when we turn our attention to it, Spirit pours life and power into us. As for all the marvelous works that Jesus did, he never claimed his personality as their author. The Son can do nothing on his own, but only what he sees the Father doing. For whatever the Father does, the Son does likewise. But the outer acts are secondary. Outer acts are a result of that connection to God within. It is to this inner realm that we must look for the transforming power of humanity. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be a leader in the spiritual awakening of humanity as you demonstrate life, love, harmony, and peace.
Beautiful. And this brings us to this very important point. Emily Cady, who's one of my favorite Unity authors, we all have direct access through the Father in us, the central eye of our being, to the great whole of life, love, wisdom, power, which is God. So our understanding about this presence within us is what we call the God within us. And if you don't like God, call it the presence within us. Call it the shimmering one or the divine goddess. Whatever word works for you, we align with the central eye. When Moses was on the mount and saw the burning bush and said, "What's your name?" It was the I am that I am. And tell them that I am. And that's our I. It's that I am. It's great wisdom to know that truth. When I lived in New York and I worked in the theater, I had an opportunity to work with Garson Kanan, who is a great power. And I was his assistant director, and what he says, I want you to move in to my office. I want you to be there every day. And we had production meetings, and we had rehearsals, and I want you to answer the phone, and I want you to be present. And then he'd ask me questions, and he'd challenge me, and I was there. And this is how we can do it with God. We can move in, and we can be fully present with the I am, and from that, we'll be challenged, we'll be guided, we'll be provided, we'll have everything we need, even if we're limping on one foot. Now, from the Gospel of John, the Father within me doeth the works. An example for this for me is when I moved back to Maui from Oahu, spent lots of time and energy looking for the perfect home. Driving around, going and seeing places, being very disappointed, being really excited, oh, not available anymore, or this would work, but doing that work. But all the while, the I within me, Abba, Daddy, was paving the way for the perfect home that I had to do nothing for. So I just did my busy work so that God could do the work to deliver me the perfect home in Maui. And so I wake up every morning feeling grateful because I'm home. And it's affirmed once more that I can do only a little bit. But the energy of the universe that creates galaxies and suns and palm trees and raisins has the power to do all that work in me and through me. And when we focus on that knowing, then boy, the path is easy with or without crutches. Eric Butterworth, who was the minister in New York, very successful minister for many years and wrote many books, says the Father is the reality of you that is always at the center of your being, no matter how off-center you may become in consciousness. Do you think when I stepped out of those jeans and broke my toe, I was in perfect knowing that God was right there present with me? I called his name in a couple of ways. No matter how off-center we are, we're always centered in the consciousness of that I am presence. It's always accessible. No matter how crazy we get, intoxicated we get, in love we get, angry we get, it's still available. It never leaves. Eric goes on to say, the Father does not represent God as a being out there. Instead, he represents the Christ of you, your own permanent identity. This is really the crux of the matter. That, yes, there is God out there. We can see God in the tree and in each other. But where we have the power to commune with God, other than looking at the sunset and going, good job, is to come home to our own knowing, our own connection. And one of the ways we do that is with prayer and meditation. A regular practice where we dip into that knowing. And sometimes when we're in that presence, when we're in that meditative knowing, we experience visions of the truth. We experience mystical experiences of the truth. It's all part of it. And I know you know it because you've come from it. Oak, you've got it all in you. And it's beautiful. Isn't it great to hear a child's voice in the room? Because it reminds us of who we are. It reminds us that we're one with this incredible presence that lifts us, fulfills us, renews us, guides us, and will challenge us. Sometimes with a big blue booty. But no matter what, we're in the presence of a wondrous I am. And isn't that something to celebrate? Something to say, Happy Abba Day. Happy blessing in the spirit of love within me that guides me and knows that wherever I go, I'm there with the one. And this, we already know this because we're unitics. We're aligned with this oneness because it's the wisdom we teach and say virtually every Sunday and every class that we have. You read the daily word, it's going to say it over and over again. We're one. So here's some affirmations. I am grateful for the blessings of my fathers. Together. I am grateful for the blessings of my fathers. And another one. I embrace the Father within me. I embrace the Father within me. And the last, I am one with the wisdom of God in each moment. And that's something to celebrate. Happy Father's Day. Happy being a blessing in each other's life day. Happy Abba Day. May you always be blessed by the Father that delivers us from diaper to graduation. And sometimes just giving you a crutch. And then you can step off and do what's next. Thank you.
Where I live, there are